Middle screen as of right now. Feel free to ping all of your friends to brag about how you're on the show tonight.
The spur controls everything. The conversation is dominated by the spurg. Over the next 2 hours or however long they stay sober, you will lose intelligence. Enjoy Theta Thursday. Your hosts, Dawn and Rhea, Mifune, and some shitty guests.
Already.
Yeah, but Rampage is playing Albion, which is whack. But hello, everybody, and welcome to Theta Thursday this week. Today we're here with two amazing people. We're here with Quinn Rhodes.
Hello.
And we're here with Nyx Aeon.
Up, everybody.
And these guys are what we consider to be our faction warfare experts for this evening, as me and Dawn literally have no idea what the fuck we're doing as far as faction warfare goes. And they're here to teach us about the changes and kind of give everybody a little introduction to what the new and improved faction warfare looks like.
And for those of you asking, Greg is taking a break this week. He needed a break, so it'll just be Mifune and I hanging out with these guys. Mifune's flying through space to go shoot stuff, so hopefully they will be able to show us this new stuff. So, Nyx, Quinn, either one of you can start. Introduce yourselves. Who are you?
I'll go first. Hi, I'm Quinn Rhodes. I've been playing the game for about 10 years on and off, really hardcore for the last 2. And I've been in faction warfare for almost 2 years now as well. I'm with Aderon Robotics. We're one of the oldest Galente corps in the militia. And I'm happy to be here.
Nice. Quinn?
Everybody, I'm Nyx. I've been off and
Or
on
whichever
since
one.
the start of
Okay.
Eve. Mostly faction warfare and a little bit of null time. And yeah, looking forward to having some fun tonight.
So you guys are in which group currently in faction warfare?
We both fly green. We are both with the Galente.
Okay. And you were talking about a little bit earlier that you've got some celebrities in there with you, but I assume that you've been able to play around with the sites. What is your initial impressions of the faction warfare changes?
Do you want to take this one, Nyx?
Sure. I'd say initially, there's a lot of really good changes. I like that they brought in the rendezvous sites, which adds a little bit of a PvE aspect. Being able to increase your advantage or lower the enemy malicious advantage, and how that affects the rate at which you're able to flip each system's control is a unique concept to bring in.
We should add that the advantage system is new to faction warfare. Originally, you just had the regular contested level, where if you complete a plex in the system, it goes up by an automatic percent. But now with the contested level, you can slow down your enemies and speed up yours, depending on what you do in system in regards to these rendezvous sites that Nyx had listed, and a couple of other things that they've added to the game, including some hacking sites and some deployables you can put out for they're almost kind of like mini crab beacons, I guess you could call them, since you null folks are probably more familiar with the crab beacon.
You act like I've ever done one.
I'm just saying you guys might be more familiar with that concept.
That's true. I would say most of our viewers are probably in nullsec, so and how have the sites been? I don't know how it was before, so maybe you want to do some history versus like today.
Yeah, sure.
Flipping sites from one group to another, is it easier, harder, about the same amount of effort to do? What's it like?
So actually taking a site's easier now. The timers have been shortened. There's also more sites, and they're more split up by the amount of halls that can enter them. And before you had 4 different site types. You had novice, well, really 5. Novice, small, medium, large, and open. A novice was limited to Tech 1, Navy, and Pirate frigates and below. And then a small would be Tech 2 frigates, Tech 1 destroyers, Tech 2 destroyers. Same for the medium and same for the large, with the large being battleships. And then Tech 3 cruisers and Tech 2 battleships and really dreads, or any capital, could enter the open. Now it's changed a little bit. They've made a deviation between advanced and navy. So on the sites you'll see a little ADV or NVY identifier on each one in your probe scanner. The navy sites only allow Tech 1 navy ships and below. They do not allow pirate or pirate faction frigates,
Oh.
pirate faction cruisers.
That's
Those have been
different.
grouped with Tech 2, which kind of creates a new meta that can evolve now.
That makes sense. So the only faction warfare that I have even like looked at, so it's not me actually doing a faction warfare site, but like I wanted to practice some PvP, would get in frigates and go to the novice sites because I knew that only frigates are coming in, and I'm sure a lot of people did this too. And the navies were like, or not the navies, sorry, the faction pirate ones were like the dominant ships in there.
Yeah, the pirate ships were definitely something that would dominate the novice plexes originally. You would have your worms, you would have your daredevils, you would have your
Imperium
another
Navy
one that I can't remember.
slicers.
Hey.
But they would definitely harass people who were in just Tech 1 frigates or even just Empire frigates like the Comet or the Hookbill. And they were definitely a huge power creep on those sites.
See, the last time I seriously tried faction warfare, it was just everybody flying the Imperial Navy Slicer. Like, fucking everybody.
Yeah, I mean, Nano Kite's still a pretty strong meta, but I think you'll see a lot more variety than you have in the past. Even in the last couple of months leading up to the event, we've seen quite a bit of a variety between Null and Kite, or really
Yeah.
Brawl and Kite doctrines.
We're also excited with the advanced Navy split because with the new Navy ships and the lack of certain Tech 2 ships being allowed in sites, whole new metas are being created for us, and we're very excited to continue like testing these out and figuring out what's going on with them.
And is Battleship the highest that you can get in there, or?
I mean, in an open complex, you can bring whatever you want.
Oh, Quinn, we're in the same system.
Oh,
Yeah. I came to Manar because I had to come dock at the station here to get with Galente.
I will double back then.
Sorry, I should have mentioned that earlier, but you guys were talking. I didn't want to.
Happens.
All right, there we go. Now I am with Galente. Hooray! On the G to alt that means literally fucking nothing to me.
Well, good news, the Galente have their own low-sec trading hub in Hadales, so anything you want from Jita, you can get from there.
Nice. Can't sell my Plex there, though.
I mean, you can.
You actually can, yeah, right there.
Is it more
All of
than...
LoSec doesn't have faction warfare in it, right? Only just parts of it?
Only just parts of low-sec, yes.
Yeah, and I apologize for the low graphics setting. Anybody on stream... currently, we are technically streaming at the literal max that Twitch will allow us to stream, and with the new game graphics, the game doesn't like it when I have max graphics on.
Your Jita alt is Mark, correct?
Yep. I believe we can come here and we can form a fleet.
Yep, I've already sent you an invite.
Oh, okay, because I just sent you.
Wah wah.
Oh, God. All right, yeah.
You?
Yeah, that's fair. All right, go
That way
ahead.
he can blow you up.
Yeah, right.
We are much more honorable than that in the Galente militia.
I don't know, man. Calderi ain't like that.
What is...
All right, there we go. I'm drop fleet, so feel free to send the invite whenever.
One moment, please.
Yep. There we go.
Buy a better computer. With what money?
Buy a better computer? Bro, all right, look, here's the thing.
Listen,
No, here's the thing.
For hair dye.
No, they just announced like what, a few months ago that like student loan forgiveness is like coming. So I'm going to get a refund on all my student loans, and that's what I'm going to be rebuilding with like a decent fucking CPU that can actually multi-thread properly.
Well, let's hope for the best there.
All right, Quinn, so take it away. Where are you taking me?
Well, let me get to you first, so one moment.
Oh, did you dip back?
No, I'm still in system. I'm just warping to you.
Gotcha.
Make sure you can see ally or fleetmates on overview so we can see him. He's
Yeah.
much more interesting than you are.
What? Wow. Okay.
What? I mean,
Uh
I mean, I did come here in a comment. I'm trying to be on brand here.
huh.
I got
Now,
the police skin and everything.
do you guys RP at all in the Galente Federation?
The Galente is a little more RP light. We do have 1 or 2 dedicated RP groups, but compared to the Kaldari, the Mimitar, and the Amar, we're a little more RP light. So even if your folks want to go into RP, any of the empires are perfectly fine for that. Give me a moment. I'm going to see if I can find our way to the closest faction warfare area.
Cool.
Hello, Mirai. Hello, and Jay was there. I was so excited to see Jay.
That's awesome.
Oh well, while they're thinking, well, actually, I'll wait till after we're done doing this.
So, how do you guys like the new faction warfare windows compared to how they were before?
Oh, the new map is amazing. It is very lovely to look at. Everything is listed properly. We don't have that weird like 3D effect we used to have before. It's very similar to one of Aedoron's internal tools. We have our own faction warfare map, so we're just very happy with it.
That's great. I wish they would turn like the real, like I've always told CCP over the years that they need to change the map to be a lot more like Dotland. Like it just
be flat.
Yeah.
I feel like that I feel like that should be an option that you could switch to. But there's something about the 3D model where you kind of see. It's fun, kind of like seeing how big space is. Though I don't know why space isn't just a giant ball and it's a disc, but details here. But the map, I mean, for me, a non-faction warfare person, I can kind of understand the map. I assume blue is Kaldari, green is Galente.
You are correct. You can read your colors.
Kindergarten.
I'm going to take us to Latisteer, which is
Awesome.
in Essence. It's about 7 jumps out, and I'm fleet warping us, so we'll
Cool.
just run there.
You're going to regret saying that.
How do you spell that?
Latisteer, Ladistier.
Yeah, and
and
also 90%
Oh, that's
of
true.
90% of the people watching are probably going to try to stream snipe as that is the way of Eve.
It is
That requires them to come to Lowsec. Have fun burning here.
They will. Trust
think
me.
they won't?
Trust me. I think there was a time where I was streaming and I was just, dicking around on the CCP channel and I had a Drake Navy issue full of crap, for the memes, and I probably had about 15 people that went almost 50 jumps just for the sake of stream sniping.
I also could have been lying.
That's true. Except for that's where Mifune's going, so because he doesn't have anything to cover up anything. We usually accept the
not
fact
on
that
this
people
character.
will try and kill us.
I'm also bringing Nixon to fleet with us.
Sweet. See, what's really funny about stream sniping is when Mind One is doing his Jita runs with the autopilot, and he came into Delvin. We still killed him, even though he was blue.
Who?
Mind One. He does this cool little thing when he's working, where you can send him a ship fitting. He'll fit it up in Jita. And then he'll take a filament to a random nullsec system, and he has to try to autopilot back to Jita. And if the character successfully autopilots back to the Jita 4-4 station, the person who sent him the fitting gets like 500 plex.
I think Mind One has done Karma Fleet roams, correct?
Yes.
He's come through our area of space a few times, and we fought him. It's always been a good fight.
Yeah, they that's usually on Saturday nights. They do that kind of stuff.
We've gotten into good frigate and destroyer brawls with him and his group.
So you guys are doing more than just faction warfare out there. You guys are also paying in general.
There's sites to run like regular low sec sites. We do clone hunting for tags and stuff like that. Those sell really well. There's a lot to do out here, especially with all of the events that CCP has been putting out, and their focus on having the bigger ones in low sec. We normally get to run some of the most profitable sites out here.
Now, do you have to be in the Galente Corporation to do faction warfare?
If you want to get loyalty points and standings with any of the empires, you have to be within faction warfare.
So, but can you get no benefit right now if you are still in your normal corp doing stuff?
If you were in a regular
the
corporation, like if you guys in goons, the only thing you're going to get is you're going to go suspect, and people will shoot you if you go into plexus.
Luckily, people don't shoot us already.
I think it's going to be... It's definitely going to be a lot of fun when we can finally do faction warfare without having to leave corp. I believe you guys might have the answer to this, but from what I hear, just from the little birdies around, is that CCP purposefully did not include that feature with the patch because they didn't want nullsecers to completely fucking bum rush the new expansion.
Oh, that happened already.
Yeah, I know of a lot of people who've been making fresh alts to try the sites out.
Us and the Galente have been keeping eyes on a new Caldari Corp that popped up literally on day one of the patch that suddenly spiked to 300 members, and they're all acting a little weird.
Are they acting like hordelings, or what are they acting like?
They're just they are flying weird. When you have 20 who are piling up outside of a plex and they're not sliding in, and even though there's only 2 people in there, that should be a very easy fight. So we're wondering if something strange is going on.
That's Horde.
Are they Bravelings?
No, that's...
Brave was joining Caldari.
The rumor is Brave might be joining Caldari.
If you got people piling up before entering the site, that's Pandemic Horde. That's just 100%. That's what they do with ESS over in Nullsec, is they will pile up at the acceleration gate and wait a minute until everybody's there and then go in. Like that is
from what I've heard, they were waiting far longer than a minute.
Well, I mean a fat minute. I mean like they're waiting like 20-30 minutes to get their entire 200-man fleet.
Mifune, they may also just be sitting on the outside to tackle anybody that tries to go in.
I mean, yeah, but that's the whole point. That's why Horde does that.
we have no particular knowledge of who it actually is doing it. It could just be a lot of people who were told, hey, you get 7 free days of Omega, join this corp and start doing this stuff, which is what some people have done, and that's totally cool. But it's one of the things we were looking at when the first day came, especially when Haley spiked to like over 110 people, which is unusual for that system.
Yeah, I'm very I'm kind of excited for when that happens, when faction warfare literally
we're here.
To people. Yep.
So I'm going to take us to one of the new scout sites.
Awesome. In which case, this character will probably die.
Yeah, but really cool if any of the CCP guys would wake up and join you guys. That would be cool. All
right, so we're going to the Caldari Scout one?
Yep, we're going to Scout Navy 1. So one of the things that they've done for this update is they're what Nix had said earlier is they've split it between Navy and Scout, but they've also added how many people can get LP loyalty points in these sites. So sometimes you might see a Scout Navy 5, which means up to 5 people can be in that site, and there won't be any division with LP. In fact, it'll actually scale a little further up.
Interesting.
Did I warp with you, or are you just slow?
No, I just warped myself to the Caldari state, and
there you are. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the outside of one of the gates, and one of the things you did, which is a faux pas, is you warped to 0 at the gate.
Mm-hmm.
One of the rules, you can take these gates up to warping at 100.
Okay, so it's exactly like the ESS gates.
Yep. So you can warp yourself at 100, you can warp yourself at 50, and if you warp yourself at 0, you are probably getting caught in the gate.
Right.
But go ahead and take that gate, and you'll notice like this little structure out here. This is one of the new things they've added. A lot of these nice little like industrial details that make it look like an outpost that's actually like being built by the Caldari. And when we come in here, we can see one of the new sites. Oh, and we have a friend in here. This is actually one of the gentlemen from my corp.
Fun.
He's gonna shoot Mifune.
No, he's not. He appeared light blue to me, so he should be fine. But yeah, this is one of the internal of the faction warfare sites for anybody who hasn't seen it. You've got this beacon at the center, and as long as you're within 30 of the beacon, the timer ticks down.
What's
So you
up?
just gonna sit there? Sit?
What sometimes it can be boring, but sometimes boring can be nice.
Do things come shoot you besides other people?
A rat does spawn, and one more should spawn before the timer runs out, and that'll happen. So we'll just have to wait for that.
In that, I'm assuming those are the baby sites, right? Basically.
This is one of the baby sites, yes.
So is it like a frigate shows up and they're like, or is
literally,
it like
right on, as you're saying it, a frigate has shown up.
like, oh.
So you can go ahead and start shooting
there
if
we
you
go.
want. They are not difficult. It takes like about 100 DPS to kill it with no issues.
I was gonna say, what is the recommended like ship to? If you were like a newbie or like a younger player who, or someone like me who's like doesn't want to put a lot of investment in this, what would be kind of like the minimum ship you would need to take that on? Would you recommend like the drone boat, like a Tristan or the Fed Navy Comet or something like? Well, not the Fed Navy, but like.
Well, I mean,
what would you recommend?
Alpha can fly a Fed Navy Comet. Flying it well requires skills, but you can still get your butt into the seat. But a Tristan is definitely one of the recommended starter frigates because drones are excellent. Slapping on a couple of drone damage augments can easily kill any of these sites. And if you're high enough skilled, Tristan can even run the smalls. But smalls and up, if you just want to run the sites, like if you're just like trying to power through them, a catalyst works great, just a regular blaster catalyst. But you can use an Atron, you can use an Incursus. You're in a Punisher, which works great. We have Punisher fits that actually don't run lasers. Autocannon Punishers are actually very popular along with Blaster Punishers because Punishers have that extra fourth slot, so they get a lot of DPS out of that.
Now, are the rats in the sites, do they depend on like what they, I guess the rat that's there resistance wise, is it the same across all of it, or does it change with what type of space it is? Like the Caldaris are like kind of like a Garista ship, where they, have an EM hole. Like how do they work? Do we know?
The rats in these sites do not work as such. These rats, along with every other rat inside of these complexes, are all completely universal resistances. It's like fighting sleepers almost.
Okay.
But from what I've been seeing, they've been changing the values for the rats that are in these rendezvous points and stuff, and those will be tanked and do certain damage.
Yeah, the rats for the rendezvous sites are actually weak to EM and thermal. And they deal thermal and kinetic, or kinetic and explosive damage.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was just wondering, because like that.
So when you guys get into fleet fights, because a lot of our viewership is obviously nullsec people, what's like the average fleet size when you guys like really get into that Warzone nitty gritty kind of thing?
It can vary.
It varies. It varies pretty well, but I've been doing a lot of talking. Nick can take this.
No, you're good. Oh, okay. Yeah, it'll vary. Sometimes you'll see 10v10s, 5v5s.
Oh, and hey, hang on. And you just got loyalty points. There you go.
Ba-ding.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And sometimes you'll even see up to like 50 versus 50.
So I'm going to take us to the Navy Plex over here.
Gotcha.
They are doing a faction warfare site. So if you have any questions about faction warfare, Dom, these are the people to ask.
Hello, Dom.
I was gonna ask. I know that there's different sites of like different levels of commitment. Like there's like the border systems, right? And then there's like strongholds or something.
So that's one of the other new features that came with this is rear guards, command, and frontline systems. And this is something faction warfare people have kind of been clamoring for a long time, of systems that are like farther back behind Caldari and Galente front lines are harder to plex.
Oh, harder to plex. Okay.
Well, not only that, but the rear guards, you won't actually get any LP. So they removed the reward, kind of focusing players towards frontline and command operation systems, which encourages more fights.
That was what I was going to ask, is if the system kind of encourages you to get to those border systems where you start arguing, fighting over control of the same few systems. And obviously
it's definitely been working. We can say that.
So what is more important then, the frontline systems or the rearguard systems?
The frontline systems in regards to content and actually wanting to push your faction's control further into the Warzone map.
So if you skip the front lines and go straight to the rear guard, that really doesn't do you any good as a faction, right?
You can still generate contested level with it. You just won't generate any LP with it. So you can go back there and run it, but ultimately it's you won't get anything out of it comparatively. Most of it's an anti-botting and anti-farmer measure, because one of the problems with faction warfare before the update was basically seasonal flips of the war zone. It would go Galente one side, Caldari the other, because the farmers would flip at one point in order to farm the higher LP value. With this update, where a lot of folks are hoping that with the amount of LP going in, LP will kind of standardize, and that will not happen anymore.
So is it still pretty much Galante and Caldari the only two that have any a lot of people doing them, or do the other two factions have equal number of people?
Oh no, the Mimitar have more people than every other empire in regards to how many people. Yeah, the Mimitar folks in like Ursha Khan, who've been around for a very long time, have been pushing the war zone on that side and pushing the MR back. They recently took, especially with the disaster in Turner that just occurred, a lot of folks were there to see the sun explode and eject. There's still 2 more stellar transmuters in that war zone, and we're still kind of waiting to see what happens with those.
And some of those fights too, especially with Ursha Khan and Electus Matari, escalated to 100, 200 man fleets.
And that's not to shame the Amar as well. One of the main alliances there is Localist Primary Dirt and Glitter. They've been putting up a hell of a fight as well. They are the Amar, if I recall, are one of the smallest, if not like second smallest in regards to population, but they have a lot of older characters and high SP, and they're very well disciplined, to give them some credit.
I'm actually super excited about these changes. I used to do faction 1 for a long time ago, and I didn't do it in this last iteration because I just didn't care for the style of it. But this all looks good, and I'm very happy about it.
And so the LP rewards are bigger on the front lines. Can you or none at all the rear guards? What's kind of the money amount you're seeing right now on average? I'm sure people are curious.
Well, actually, in regards to like LP conversion into ISK.
Yeah, or just like, on average, if you made this much out, like 100 LP an hour, I know that's small, but like as an example, right? 100 LP an hour, so you're averaging 50 mil an hour. Like, what would the average player be able to make running an average site?
Yeah, I could probably speak to this a little bit. So with the new patch, LP has actually started soaring. The prices increased dramatically across all 4 empires. You normally see an average of around 1,500 ISK to 2,000 ISK per LP. Now, before we had a tier system, so as you conquered more systems and leveled up the systems through the iHub, your tier would increase, which would then increase your LP gains. This caused a saturation effect, where kind of got the LP would get diluted, and the value would go down to around 1,000 ISK per LP. But that's gone now with this patch. So all 4 empires are currently hovering around 2,500 ISK per LP, with Galente a little north of 3,000, just because they were in tier 1 for so long over the last year, and that LP is a bit more scarce.
All right, so I'm confused here. You can actually buy LP on the market?
No, you can't, but that's the kind of the trade-in value. So there's a nice little tool on Fuzzworks you can use to determine what the best items are to buy out of the LP store or to trade for, and then sell on Judo Market. And the way that we calculate the value of those items is by comparing how much ISK we'll get per loyalty point.
Now, have we started seeing an increase in the price of those items due to the people hoarding for the ships, or is that not happening yet?
There's been a dramatic increase, as well as they also made blueprint copies. Building through blueprint copies extremely profitable. It's like half the price of actually doing the haul trade-in now.
So, do you guys, as faction warfare people, ever see you guys having to use things like the Navy Dreads, or is that something that you guys would rather, spend the LP for and then export to something like null blocks to use for their own purposes?
It depends. We wouldn't use them for faction warfare purpose necessarily, like plexing. When you will see dreads come into play is on structure fights. which is probably going to be less of an issue now that they've made it so each side can dock in the front lines.
You very also rarely see them at in iHubs when a system flips.
Yeah, so you guys rarely have any use for caps.
I feel like I don't know, maybe it's just with how long I've been in the Warzone, I feel like I've been seeing more caps recently, but we'll see how this plays out.
I was just going to ask that question. Do you think it's going to change?
It really
You think
depends. It depends on how badly each side wants a system. Faction warfare historically has not been very profitable, but that has changed recently. So if you were to escalate a fight to the capital or the super level, you're going to take a hit that would take you a long time to recoup if you were to lose any assets, which has prevented capital warfare and faction warfare for a long time. However, now it's much more profitable in faction warfare. Even just plexing sites, you can pull probably around 200 mil an hour roughly right now.
Now, we were talking about this on one of my friends' shows, Warp Out Wednesday, because everyone loves some fun alliteration, right? We were talking about the Navy ships, the new ones, and from what I hear, that there's the options are either to build it with the blueprint or you can turn in the T1 version and with LP and just get the ship, right? It just costs more.
Originally, it didn't cost more. Originally, the main way to get Navy ships was to trade in the T1 along with LP, but you also needed these chips that you would get from NPC missions, like from Rodin shipyards, if you were specifically looking for Galente stuff. You still need to do that if you were to do the trade in like that, but as Nix had mentioned, with the blueprint copy changes, with it like taking a huge chunk of the cost out of it, it's much more profitable to build now than it is to trade in. It effectively becomes speed versus price at that point.
Yeah, to give you an example, the Federation Navy Comet takes about 600,000 ISK in materials to build, plus the blueprint copy. So if faction warfare members are buying these blueprint copies, we can build them for less than $1 million, almost cheaper than a Tristan Hall at that point.
Speaking of the new ships, this person, Amy, who just came in, is in the new Catalyst Navy issue, if you want to take a look at that.
Oh, zoom in on Mifune.
Yep, it's going to be low poly graphics because things, but yes.
But that's that's the new Navy Catalyst. It's got some cool fins. It has different stats compared to the regular Catalyst, obviously. But they've been pretty popular recently. They kind of look like sharks from what I've seen.
Oh, so I mean, if you've been using some of the new ships, which one, I guess, your personal preference do you like the most?
Unfortunately, I haven't flown any of the new ones. This might be more of a question for Nix.
I'm a huge fan of the Corsair Navy issue. As a
Hell
fleet
yeah.
ship. For fleet doctrines, the amount of buffer it can provide, the quick ammunition swaps with different ranges from the crystals, lack of needing extensive amounts of ammo, the ability to use it on any like IHUP bashes, that kind of thing. You can get to around 14 to 15,000 EHP with 700 DPS, which is absolutely insane for a destroyer. That'd probably be my favorite fleet ship. Solo, I would have to say the Catalyst Navy issue is looking really good. It features an armor repair bonus, and you can actually fit an armor repair and a plate and a second armor, an ancil, and get about 32k effective EHP
Nice.
in a 1v1, which makes it a really strong solo ship.
We have completed this site as well. You should have probably gotten a ping
Yep.
that you just made 4,500 LP, which is pretty good. I'm warping us to the medium now, since we've got enough DPS for that.
The only
Now,
other ship. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to ask, like, obviously the dumb question here. If you are in, say, the Amar faction, you can only earn Amar LP?
That is correct.
Okay, just want to make sure. I'm sure somebody else out there was questioning that. So, like, if you were an Amar player, and now, does Amar and Galente ever fight, or is it just Amar Mimitar?
You can moonlight in the other war zones, and occasionally the Mimitar, the Caldar, occasionally we've deployed to the other war zone if our allies require help, or if we're just roaming and we just want to hang out over there. We do have there's a couple of Amar players who do like to hang out in the Caldari Galente side because they just enjoy the fights here more, possibly, or for whatever reason they may have, and they can run the sites as well and still collect LP. So you can be Mimitar and run a Caldari site and still contest the system up and still get LP. So you don't have to be confined to one war zone, but you'll find more of your allies if you stay within your war zone.
And is there any benefit to do that? Like, let's say you are tomorrow and you're like, I don't really like being over here. I'm gonna go hang out in the Kadari area.
I mean, they do have a very
benefit?
skybox. The Galente definitely have a much prettier skybox than the Mimitar and Armored Warzone.
I would say a large benefit is being able to bring in loyalty point items from that region of space. As an example, some of the Galente have Minotaur characters, just to bring in Minotaur loyalty point items.
So do you just make different characters for the different factions so you can turn in the LP for that stuff?
It's very easy to throw an alt into the Warzone just to hang out and get into fights. You'd asked earlier about fights and what kind of fights we get into. It varies from day to day. Sometimes we can be on big structure fights like Nick was talking about earlier. Recently, the Galente went and destroyed a citadel up in Blackrise, and we took like a 50-man fleet of like heavy armor and fought some Caldari up there. But a lot of the time, it's small gang fights, anywhere between like 5 to 15 people, just kind of like very quick fights of like surgical strikes or fighting in these complexes between like destroyers and cruisers. It can be a lot of fun, and it's very quick.
It's interesting to see what kind of meta will develop with these new activities.
I'm excited to see how the new ships are going to fit into different doctrines, whether it be small gang or even nullsec doctrines. And then with how quickly you get LP, how expensive or rare do you think these faction ships are going to be? You think they're just going to be popping them out like candy, like Gila's, or?
I think they'll be popular. Certain ones will be very popular, obviously. But I think they'll just be popular in general, just because they'll be much more accessible for everybody. They're not nearly as the barrier isn't as high anymore.
I think the Navy capitals are going to see quite a lot of popularity. The bonuses that they've gotten are a little crazy.
We were talking about that last week when we were showcasing the Navy Dreads off. We were talking about how the Navy Moros is probably going to be the king of dread bombs in nullsec.
Yeah, with that added range bonus, it is a force to reckon with.
Yeah.
I mean, we can say we're looking forward to see them in action, considering that's our faction ship. So we'll feel a little proud.
Yeah, but the faction Moros is just absolutely disgusting on its fucking tank, and it's disgusting on damage. Like, it is fucking ridiculous. When we I'm not sure if either of you guys have ever watched our show before, but when we were doing it on CC, we had CCP Kestrel with us, kind of watching over us, making sure that we had everything we needed to test it out on the test server. And one of the things that ended up happening was we ended up getting engaged in a bit of PvP, and somebody bought a pack of 4 Zenitras, and our dude in the Navy Moros was able to tank them at full spool for almost 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's insane.
Like, it was literally disgusting.
It's also a very ugly ship. It looks like a shoe. Whoever designed
Well, I mean, come on, the Revenant, the Revenant looks like a fucking turd, okay? Like, we can't.
Revenant looks.
I'm very happy with what it looks like. It
looks like
it has these nice armor plates along the gun ports now. Like, it looks much better than the original Moros, in my opinion.
I'm sure there's nice bits about it because but overall, like that big bulbousy front, it looks like either the cruise ship from Wally or a shoe.
For me, it just looked like an oversized Vexor, and they just added a bunch of really sweet guns to the bottom of it. Like, they kind of took that design element from the Vexor and from the Dominix and just made it really. It's a lot of damage.
So, but yeah, the other ones, I didn't really think the Naglfar looked too different. The
No.
Rev I like because it's got the black additions to it. I do wish the Rev was a less compressed in general.
The Rev looks a little sleeker than its T1 version.
Yeah. And then what's the other one? The Phoenix. Oh, that Phoenix looks like from if you remember the carriers from Ender's Game, that's what they look like to me. Boxy, flat personnel carriers.
A lot of folks are very happy with how the new Phoenix looks.
Very much. I do have a feeling, and I can pull it up here, that Navy Naglfar and the bonuses that it does contain is a little weird, to say the least, right? Because with the Navy Naglfar, we said it on stream last week that during the CC testing, it only really had the bonus to the shield booster, which for Naglfars isn't really that great. Like, you don't fit a shield booster to a Naglfar. The Naglfar in itself already has enough capacitor problems, especially in active tanked Naglfar. So attacking on a shield booster to that cap problem isn't the smartest thing. Since then, they have changed it to also include armor repper, not just shield booster, but also armor repper. And they also did a bonus to the heavy stasis grappler, which I feel like it will help the Naglfar kind of balance out a little bit with the Haw guns, because Haw guns on a Naglfar are just absolutely atrocious tracking wise. They always have been, which is why the Naglfar was the throwaway dread for a dread bomb, was just because the Haw guns on it were dog water. So hopefully adding a stasis webifier to that mix and to slow those subcapital targets down will really help the Navy Naglfar perform better.
I don't have a particular input on this because I've never sat in a dread, so...
Really? How do you go this long without sitting in a dread? You
Well,
said you've been
Don,
playing
these guys
on and off 10 years.
these guys don't play on that level.
I mean,
I don't know what skills you
Nix
could
has been in
possibly
dreads.
learn.
He has a much better idea about it than I do. My character isn't skilled in that direction right now. I am starting to skill towards Moros, but I've mostly been trying to fill out my subcapital tree in order to fly more T2.
You know, I gotta say, if you learn all the logic skills, you are always useful and don't have to learn that many other skills.
I can fly Guardians, and that helps a lot.
It is so nice.
I love Guardians.
Well, learning all of the learning all of the logic skills for frigates and cruisers, you can pretty much go on almost any fleet out there other than Capital Fleet. And even then, they probably would still like you be there. Like, yeah, you can be a little cat battery. So, well, in the middle of the show, I almost died. So, you know, good times.
Who wants to see if we can go fight a war target Thorax over in a system over?
Oh, I'm down for that.
Then I'm going to bring all of our drones in and warp yourself, because I don't want to take Sam with us here. He's joined our fleet, but he's not on comms with us, obviously. We're just going to head to Old Man Star.
I love Old Man Star.
Ooh, I have
Where
a fun
all the good
bookmark.
faction fights happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I have a good bookmark. This was before they patched it out. Someone had a bookmark in the sun, and so we would like spend a lot of time like warping to the sun and then just get launched.
I used to
Like,
do that. There's a fraternity
away.
guy. There's a fraternity guy that has an alt account with a pod just in the dead center of their sun.
All right. Do not jump. Do not jump.
Oh.
No.
Well, I can burn back the gate. It's good.
Yeah, because that was a snuff alt. We're probably about to get Sinoed. Get off the gate as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
you.
I'm jumping back in a Lattister. Well, it would be fun to get dropped on by Snuff, I'm not gonna lie. The last time I got dropped on by Snuff, I took out 3 of their dreads. So.
Listen, it's for the content. Get dropped.
Yeah,
Content
yeah, no,
dropped.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. So is he still an Old Man Star?
Give me a moment. They're probably more interested in dropping on you than me specifically.
Oh, I know,
Good.
I know, because Goon alt here, but
Yes. Here, I will link the character in Fleet so everybody knows. You can set that
Dominic,
one to
why aren't
red.
Billie Eilish, of course, is Billie Eilish that's gonna drop on me.
So now everybody knows you're here, except it's probably going to be a Mulan situation where they just say good.
Oh god,
have
you guys are
Paninis here.
warping to the Caldari Large?
Dominic, if you had to do faction warfare, which faction would you be in?
Well, Caldari, because that's what I already am. I'm a strike commander in Caldari faction warfare. So.
Oh wow, there goes a bunch of Caldari people in here.
Yes, these are the Ninas. They have their own special story, but probably not told here.
I fly mostly Amara ships, but I started off when I started playing Eve as Caldari faction warfare.
If you're able to get back into Old Man Star, go ahead and warp to the Fortizar that's in system.
Yeah, I wanted to check out the outside of the large real quick, see what's in there. They have a Tristran, Slasher.
The Thorax in the large.
Yeah, the Thorax is in the large.
Alright, Mifune,
Oh,
remember
warp
the
over.
cameraman,
Yep.
so...
I'm warping over to the fort. It's good. I'm not gonna whelp. This isn't whelp
No,
squad
I'm okay
deployment.
with you whelping. You just have to get a good shot of it.
Oh, I know. Seized by the Federation. That is a fantastic Fortizar name.
This Fortizar was actually the black market of Old Man Star, and we were able to acquire it. And at the time, the Caldari were doing some of their deployment from this. It caused a lot of interesting fun when that happened.
It seems like they're fighting in that large compound.
Yeah, we're gonna go to I'm warping us. Hang on, I'm going to warp us to that large right now.
Ooh, that's gonna be some fun.
Hopefully there's a Thorax still in there.
Dominic, everybody's trying to kill us.
The Thorax is dead.
It's not fair, is it, Don?
Shoot,
It's
I'm
not
sorry.
fair.
No,
It's
it's
so
good.
rude.
It is rude.
We can.
We're nice people.
Let's see what
We're
else
just
is in there. I
trying to
mean,
hang
there's
out,
Ospreys,
have a
there's
good
an Omen, there's an
time.
Algos. We can get some pretty good content in here.
I believe a lot of that is friendly, but let's head in for now.
What kind of rats spawn in the largest?
Large rats.
Fair
Are they
enough.
battleships or cruisers?
Yeah, right. 'Cause
They are technically there's a lot of colors in here right now. They are technically battle cruisers.
Battle cruisers. Okay.
So I believe it's a Ferox model that'll pop up at some point.
Do you ever see marauders out here, or is it just
Marauders are very common.
really?
Yes, especially with Shadow Cartel and Snuff in the area. Revolution is also out here. They like to use a lot of Marauders here and there for trying to either bait or they just drop them in order to kill something and then try to get off.
But not necessarily for doing the complexes.
No.
Sites.
You wouldn't.
Okay,
You would
okay.
not want to use a Marauder in one of these sites. That would be very silly.
see,
Unless you're specifically trying to bait or do something weird, you probably would not be using a Marauder.
so bait my Marauder and then drop 15 Redeemers, right?
Good luck dropping in the open, because something we love seeing is the open complexes. You cannot light Sinos in there. You cannot light Sinos in any of these sites, actually.
Well, yeah, they're dead space sites.
Yes, they are.
Are the gates dead space too, or just the insides?
Yes, they are.
Interesting.
That was not a yes or no question.
They are dead space sites. You cannot
Okay.
light Sinos on the gates. You can also
Okay.
cannot warp to members. You can only warp to the gate. So if I was outside and I told you to warp to me and you tried to warp to me at 0, and I'm not at 0 at the gate, you're not warping to me.
But there's no
Interesting.
bubbles in low sec, so you don't have to deal with some of the bullshit that we pull in null sec.
This is true. There are no bubbles.
No bubbles. How
But,
so? Do you play? You guys both mostly play in low sec, right?
Correct.
So is null sec like ooh scary bubble time, or you guys have no problem going in null sec?
I mean,
Well,
I've been to nullsec.
Well,
Yeah, I feel like it's just the
understand.
hassle, right? Because you got to bounce so often, depending on the space you're in.
You spend a couple of years in there, and
Oh, hello.
oh,
So that's new. I believe someone just did one of the rendezvous sites in system.
nice. That was a cool ass notification, I gotta say.
Yeah, if you look over to the left-hand side of your screen, or however you have it set up, you'll see the factional warfare kind of tab thing, and you'll notice that the Galente Federation has the advantage. If you hover over it, it'll be completed objectives 2% and neighboring systems 10%. The 2% is from running the rendezvous site.
Oh, fun.
Well, specifically, it's 1%, but it's 2% total now.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
what kind of advantage do we actually get?
Faster plexing, and I believe more LP. Nix, what do you know?
You'll get increased victory points. The
That's it.
victory points will result in each plex you close contributing more to the system's contested status. So if you look, you'll see it's at 31.5%. The higher
Interesting.
advantage you get is the more that's going up for each site that's being closed.
Have you,
So-
I wonder if that'll be a meta thing then for you guys to kind of come in, do these things to gain the advantage, and then take the system quickly.
Yeah, it does bring an interesting dynamic. The rendezvous sites are also somewhat profitable right now. Killing the rat at the very end of it will yield you about 10,000 loyalty points, and then the site itself will give you about 27,500.
So,
if you
so under
convert
the new
that
system,
Go ahead.
under the new system, how much time does it take to say flip a system? Is it a single day can be done, or is this like going to take like a week or several days?
I would
What-
say it takes significantly longer than before. Before you could flip a system in about 48 hours continuously.
Okay.
Now we're still in patch day, and the highest system contested level since patch is about 35%.
I believe it's
And
gone
that-
down since then. I think this system might be one of the higher ones currently.
No, that is flipping a system completely uncontested is going to take longer. So if it's contested, it's going to take even longer, right?
Correct.
I mean, if you're fighting back and forth, okay, all right.
That's always been the case, but
Well, sure, yeah. I just didn't know how much. What did it scale higher?
it's
that's what I'm
definitely
asking.
scaled higher. We've effectively been pushing this system for the last 3 days, and we're basically at just 31%.
No, is that something faction warfare people are happy with?
Yes and no. It's definitely nicer that a system just can't be flipped over a weekend. Like, say you go somewhere for a 3-day trip and you come back and your staging system's gone. That's nice not to have that happen. But we're not sure how long these sieges are going to be taking anymore. One of the aspects of the new update is these deployables that we got, including listening posts and propaganda posts, which also increase and decrease advantage depending on when and where they're deployed. We're having trouble. Hey, CCP, we're having trouble finding some of the parts for this stuff in the hacking sites, FYI. But we suspect that once that gets flowing and being able to increase advantage a little faster, these systems maybe will flip faster as well.
Is it like normal hacking? Like,
These are hacking
Or-
sites that you can only do in the militia.
do they pop up just around faction warfare space, or?
And from what I know, they pop up in the rear guard systems, which gives you a reason to go farther out.
So there's that, and
Yeah.
leads to my next question. Then, have they implemented the industrial side of things like they were talking about? Is that already it in, and are people doing it?
Next.
What do you mean by the industrial side?
Weren't they going to add into like some industrial missions for people who don't do PVE or PvP? Maybe I misunderstood that. I thought there was something along those lines coming in, where like hauling missions and things like that. Is that not something?
Oh yeah, potentially. I know that's something that's coming. We kind of already
It's
have
still
a little
coming.
bit of that
Okay, all right.
with we have a little bit of that already with Eve Pandora, which is kind of like a peer-based mission system that we can run. But yeah, I think that most of the industry changes are still coming.
They're still coming. Okay, so I'm not crazy. They did say something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, are you guys excited for people that are going to be able to fly? Are you guys excited about the change that people will be able to flag for faction warfare without leaving their corporations and joining one of the NPC corps?
I think that's tough. That's a tough thing. Historically, you've only ever seen full corporations in faction warfare. If it were to change to where individuals could then flag and still be in their corporation, that could be a tough call. Because once you start getting into the organization and the structure of each militia, it becomes difficult to know how far you can take them or what their level of commitment is.
Or whether you can trust them. That kind of adds an element of
Oh yeah.
intrigue to it.
Yeah, it's probably one of the reasons I also delayed the Elysian system is they're still trying to figure out how some things are going to be interacting, but we should find out in Q1 is from what they've been telling us.
So are you hearing that more people are going to be coming back? I mean, what are you hearing about people's involvement? Like I used to do faction warfare. I'm excited. I may do it again. Are you hearing more people saying stuff like that, or pretty much just status quo?
Oh, we've definitely had older players coming back from because of this update. It's been fantastic for some of the other older players. Again, I've only been in faction warfare for just under 2 years, but some of the people who've been around for many, many years are seeing old faces and very happy about that.
Yeah, and we have a like an alliance system for like automatic role-based management, ESI scopes that's connected to the Discord. And just alone in the last 3 days, that's seen an uptick of about 280 players.
Fantastic. That's fantastic news.
I have a question more for like your guys' group. Are you guys newer player friendly, or do you have this is just like personally, do you prefer to have players that have, a certain minimum of skill points? What are you personally guys looking for people who join you? Or does it matter?
Pretty much every corp in the Galente militia is new bro friendly. Probably more leaning towards Hungary and Aderon for new bro friendly stuff. The folks who live over in Placid are a little more probably SP driven than we are, but they do have their own new bro corp that they've spun up to help with that. So that's oh god, I'm blanking. Nick's help.
I will say that militia is a very good place to come learn. If you look at any of the large null groups, everybody has at one point dipped their feet in militia faction warfare at some point, right? It's where you learn the PvP, it's where you meet friends, and then eventually sometimes people delve off and go and create null blocks or whatever the case. But yeah, there's a lot of new bro friendlies. Aderon historically is the largest new bro friendly organization in Galmil as part of convocations of Imperium and just holding the Essence region for the last 15 years. I would say they are the most new bro friendly. Hungry's a rather newer corp. We do have a minimum skill point requirement. It's about 5 million, which isn't much. So relatively new bro friendly, but not brand new.
Day one, but not 6 months, which is a solid model to have.
The other major group currently in Galente militia is Sedition, and they live over in Placid.
Yeah, Sedition as well is a great corp to join. It's nice having multiple Galente militia groups staged in different regions, and we all work closely together to kind of help deploy and help each other out when needed.
So one of our chat members is having an aneurysm, wondering how you get 700 DPS out of a Navy coercer.
you fit it with 2 damage mods and rig it with a catalyst rig. Here, let me post the fit real quick.
Don't forget to overheat too.
Oh yes.
I think heated you could probably get close to around 1,000, but let's see.
Disgusting.
One of the best and yet like most disappointing times I did with the faction warfare PvP stuff, just to try it out. I was in a Navy Slicer, and my friend was in a Punisher. So he was built strictly for brick, tank, and grabbing people, and then I was like the zippity zappity DPS, right? Hi, Night Flare, and it was us two versus a crewer. And I looked at the guy. He normally flies like a 500 plus mil, like an expensive crewer, right? And it's getting down to the wire. He kills my friend, but me and him are going at it. And literally, he lives on like 10% structure, and I blow up. And the reason why is I didn't overheat my guns. I didn't think about it.
Ouch.
So I just never overheat anything in nullsec. So I didn't think about it at all. And it was like, I could have won. I had just overheated. I could have won handily if I had overheated. Oh, so sad. But those are the kinds of things that you can still do in these sites. Like, it's still similar to what it was before, that it's not too jarring for you guys to switch to like how they're doing them now.
We've been taking it in stride.
Mm-hmm. So, well, it is 9:10, so we've kept you for over an hour. Does anyone else have any final questions for them, or do you have anything that you want to share with the community?
Well, I would definitely say join Galente Militia, guys. Underdogs, never not.
I've actually got quite a bit of new stuff coming up that I think even people in Null would enjoy to be a part of.
One of the things that my corp is most interested in, if I pull it up real quick, they're looking heavily into the faction warfare missions and how much reward that can bring in.
Nope.
No, like nothing.
With the removal of the tier system, they have also nerfed missions. It's actually more profitable to be in these sites than to run missions anymore. Missions are great for standing, but they've completely curbed the missions from being what they were.
Yeah.
Sorry, you got to be in space and you got to interact with other people.
Well, look, I mean, we're nullsec people. We will find a way.
I mean, in nullsec, if we can find ways to not have to do things with other people, we'll do.
We will.
Unfortunately, you're gonna have to be in Commander Frontline, and we will find you.
All right.
Now, do you guys ever go like, oh look, it's a poor little guy in a little frigate, we won't shoot you, or are you merciless?
We will shoot them and then try to recruit them because they clearly need help.
Yeah, we'll shoot everybody, but I will say that we'll honor 1v1s, that kind of thing, you know. So sometimes like you'll see people set up 1v1s in chat, which is like a cool little aspect.
Understandable. All right, well, I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us. You guys are always welcome back. If you have some updates, I know this is fresh and new, so maybe we'll revisit Faction Warfare in a couple weeks to see how things are going, or if they may add any new changes or anything. And if you guys want to help us out with that, that'd be great. If anyone in chat has questions for them, you guys can find them in the Galente Militia stuff. Message Mifune to get with them if you need help, because maybe I could too, but we'll do final thoughts. So we'll start with you, Quinn, since you're at the top. What is your final thoughts, shout outs this week?
Just to simp for a moment, thank you CCP for finally updating Faction Warfare. Everyone is very happy with the update, but also just general shout out to the Galente Militia as a whole, just to all the we're doing so much better organizationally in the last few months, and it's great seeing a lot of what we've been doing pay off for taking systems and all the industrial stuff that Nix has been working on. It's been fantastic. If you do have questions for me, I am generally frequenting the Faction Warfare channel of the EVE Discord. You can always send me an in-game mail, and I'm happy to answer whatever I can.
Okay, and then I believe Nix is next. So, Nix, any final shout-outs, thoughts, anything that you want to say?
Yeah, thanks for having us. And once again, if anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to send them our way.
Fantastic. Dominar, final thoughts, shout-outs for the week?
Well, thanks for having me, and thanks to these guys for great information. I appreciate it, and I'll probably be seeing you on the field of battle. I'll be on the other side, but that's okay.
Boo.
Boo, Dominarch, join Galente.
I'm excited for that.
I'm an officer in the Caldari Navy. I can't help.
You have a better dental plan than the Caldari.
Listen, you can enjoy your Caldari, you're just wrong.
I do have a Galante character.
Amar for life.
I fly Amar ships. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
No, don't join the Amar. They have slaves.
No,
it just blew up the sun.
Yeah, right. Amar just fucked up and blew up the whole sun.
That sun had it coming. It didn't pay homage to the Empress or whoever the fuck's in charge right now.
No, the Amar fucked it up.
I don't know.
The
How
Amar
very
fucked it
pious
up.
of you.
Not really. Mifune, final thoughts for the week.
Well, I definitely want to thank you guys for coming on tonight. It was an amazing pleasure to meet you guys, and it was awesome to learn about all of these changes and to see what CCP has put their hard work into. Couldn't have done it without you guys. And joined Galente because fuck Calderi. There you go.
And I want to thank everybody for joining us, for our wonderful guests, for our chat with good questions. And I hope you guys play around with faction warfare. As I said, I would like to revisit the topic once we've had more time for really getting an idea of how long things take to flip systems and see how it pans out, especially when the nullsecers can come in eventually with their alts as is. So, and then hopefully we'll have something new to talk about next week. And then Push to Talk is on Saturday. So if you guys want to see me talk about food for an hour and a half, check us out on Saturday.
You can join Galente Militia. We talk about food all the time in comms.
It's a Push to Talk tradition. We usually talk about food at least a half an hour of the show. 2-hour show.
Yeah, well, it was all right. Well, I hope y'all had a great time. I hope the viewers learned a thing or two, and I hope y'all get reinvigorated to try a play style that has been dead for a very, very long time. And hopefully CCP next time will revamp the bounty hunter system, and we can finally get bounty hunters and all of that stuff up and running, because that stuff would be great. Maybe then people will finally stop bitching that ganking is quote-unquote griefing.
Details. Anyways, take us out.
All right, y'all. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.